Michael McMorrow coming to you from the sanctuary of the Center for Spiritual Living here in Granada Hills, California, in the North San Fernando Valley, where I'm joined by Reverend Kathy Lyons, our presider this evening. And we have great air conditioning here. Just saying, if you're looking for a place to both be cool and chill out, no better place to do it than to meditate right here with us on Wednesday evenings. We have Renzen in the back and Miriam, our loyal attendee. All right, so let's just get started as we do every service here at the Center for Spiritual Living. We're going to take a deep conscious breath together and release. And in that release, just release the day, all the cares, concerns, the worldly clamors, and just allow ourselves to claim this moment as our own as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So as Reverend Kathy lights the first candle, it is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and of course within our own hearts. And as Reverend Kathy lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I'm one
So join me, please, in consciousness as I speak in the first person, and how grateful I am to be one with this Spirit all around me, recognizing this Spirit of God, which is peace and love and harmony and trust. And I am one with God, one with its love, peace, harmony, and trust. And so I just speak knowing right now that tonight's meditation is a perfect idea in the mind of God. I open my heart to love, peace, serenity, and trust. I open myself to that inner harmony and peace within that always guides, directs me in everything I need to know and do. And so I am so grateful tonight, so grateful for this wonderful meditation tonight, for Reverend Mike and everyone here. And so I release my word to the law of mind as I let it be so. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
Good evening, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here tonight, and I was thinking about a common affirmation that we hear frequently in religious science and New Thought as well. God is my source. And I've heard that so many times it maybe becomes cliche, but it really is true. And I was thinking about this when I looked at my stock portfolio recently. I wasn't real thrilled. I had a few probably unpositive thoughts in my head, but then I had to remind myself that God's source and supply comes through various avenues and channels. And as far as stock portfolios, they go up and down, and sometimes it's like they go down and then they go back up. But the thing is, I can't let that determine my sense of inner peace, inner trust. Also, this idea about God being the source, it's also good to remind myself too. Now, I'm retired, but when I was working, I had to remind myself too that God's source and supply doesn't come through a particular employer, or if you have a business, it doesn't come through a particular client. It's being open and receptive, just knowing that what you need comes through, but it doesn't necessarily mean a specific thing. Sometimes people get laid off and it's a chance to reinvent themselves. I know that worked for me. And I think this is true with everything about Ernest Holmes talks about not outlining how our good can come through. And that's the same thing with relationships. We don't Maybe, we'll go on a certain dating app and meet our life partner, but who knows? You could be taking a walk with your dog and meet somebody. Things can come from various things, and we don't get attached to one thing in particular. And so I just think that this is a really good thing to know, too, and to always feel abundant, no matter what maybe the appearance is in a stock portfolio or bank account. And this another idea that comes to me too. Florence Scovel Shinn talks about in her book, The Game of Life, about not hoarding. And I think about this. I can remember back in March 2020, people hoarding toilet paper and water, thinking that somehow or another they were going to run out. And one of the things, people were caught up in a lot of fear. And what I've noticed too, that I frequently go to the store, and sometimes there's certain items not on the shelves. And I notice this with cat food in particular. And the thing that I do, though, if there's only a few cans of a specific cat food, because my cats have certain or particular, I don't take every single can off of the shelf. I think since we're all one, I need to know that I can take maybe a couple of cans and leave that for somebody else and just know that there's enough going around. If we get in that hoarding mentality, it just creates more lack, what I find. Be open and don't get into fear. That's what I've learned. So remember, God is your source and supply. Your good, whatever you desire, can come through various ways. But just know that it's that one source, God, and so it is.
So it is.
Okay, we have some announcements. If you want prayer support, you can find a practitioner online at cslgh.org. Zoom fellowship is every Sunday at 11:45 a.m., facilitated by Lissa Moreno. This Sunday, the Law of Attraction group is at 1:00 p.m., and also the Bereavement Support Group by Reverend Jessica Fish is also online at 1:00. Coming up, there's going to be a mommy spiritual spa facilitated by Reverend Nicole, and that starts Wednesday, June 29th at 9:30 a.m., and that's in person. Practitioner meeting is in person Sunday, July 3rd. And membership, would you like to win friends and influence others? You can become a member and share your wonderfulness with the world. And you can fill out an application, and membership applications are open to both people who come in person or who are watching online. And now we will go to Reverend Mike.
All right, thank you. Nice message today, Rev. Yeah, that law of circulation at work. And as you were talking about checking the stock portfolio, I was thinking, the truth is that it's a quality problem. Because for many years, there was no portfolio. And, it's just one of the blessings of prosperity consciousness is, of course, learning how to be a good steward of the many resources that we have available to us in our life, of which our finances are but one. And so this law of circulation works in all of these areas, right? So that whether it's in the area of friendship, of love, of creativity, right? So we can, I was listening to Tara Barak earlier this evening, and she was speaking to her process in writing a book, and which I could really relate to and anyone who does work that requires creation, right? So for instance, an executive assistant or administrator has to create, documents or flyers, or, just take some a bandwidth of creativity. I'm watching these fellows down the street build a new apartment building, and I'm watching the creative ways in which they're going about building a project that's really, on the one hand, is kind of basic building principles are employed, and also a lot of creativity in its application. So, creativity is all around us, but what Tara was talking about is the practice, the spiritual practice of just learning how to be okay with what is. So sometimes in creativity, that may look like something that is not, right? So we can feel like we're stymied or blocked in some way. But the practice for all of us is to try and stay out of the labeling of things as good or bad. And this is where the meditation practice can really be helpful, because our thoughts are simply thoughts. And in meditation, we're really not trying to not think, but rather to not attach to what it is that we are thinking about. And if we find ourselves attached to thought forms, to look at what's underneath that, to see what is it that's really bothering us. So she was sharing a story about a fellow who had a health diagnosis that he was working with, where he had a situation in his colon, and he was not one given to, shall we say, spiritual practices per se, although it sounds like he was experimented with meditation. But the point is that the inquiry that he had about his own experience was, what is my colon trying to tell me? Which is kind of a funny thing to consider on the one hand, but there's a lot of wisdom in it as well. Again, this idea of living with the flow of life and recognizing the source of all opens us up to the gift of wisdom from our whole life. Every aspect of our life can become a point of inquiry to when we are willing to be vulnerable enough and soft enough to look at what's underneath it, and to become willing to have, now these would be within our words, not hers, but be willing to have a healing around that. So, and part of that is accepting what is. Acknowledging that at some level our thought is constantly constructing interpretations around things that are often they're just not true, and it's not what's really happening. And again, taking it back to meditation, meditation allows us to be still enough, to be focused enough, to be okay enough to just being with what is. And so in a meditation time, of course, we're practicing this in a focused way. But one of the great benefits of it then is when we find ourselves bumping up against, the life, right? Just the stuff that happens in any given day, then we're able to roll with it. And to again just know that our job is not to label it good or bad, but just to accept what's going on is what's going on right now, and then of course we're at choice, right, to do something about it. So now, as it would happen, Rev, I don't know if you knew this, but today's reading in the 365 is about this idea of source. And Holmes writes that I rely upon the one perfect activity of God, the all-intelligent, creative presence is the source of all that I am. I believe in the ability and willingness of this great source to sustain its own creation, of which you and I are that. The kingdom and the power and the glory of God are expressed through me, as me. I recognize myself to be a center through which the intelligence and power of the universe find expression. Infinite mind operating through me now brings me to the manifestation of harmony, order, and the highest good. The consciousness of peace and plenty is established within me. All that is necessary to my happiness and well-being now comes into my experience. And so, as Reverend Kathy was saying, in this way there can be no limitation nor lack, for nothing ever restricts the one perfect activity, its full operation. It is in full operation for me. I am now free from any sense of bondage. All power is given unto me from on high. Knowing this, I am strong with the strength of the all vitalizing power of the universe. I am sustained and healed by a divine stream of spirit energy, which flows through me as radiant health and vitality. Every cell and atom of my being responds to this spiritual flow. I stand revealed as a perfect child of the perfect God. Strength and courage are my divine birthright. And I am now expressing my true self. All that God has is mine. I draw from the spiritual treasure house all that I need. So with that, let's just take a deep breath. And we'll just move a little earlier than normal into this meditation time, bringing our full attention to the movement of the breath in the nostril. And as we do that, we see the mind begins to still. Let's take a deep breath together and release. And as we scan the body, we scan the day. Where have we been snagged by the labeling of good, bad? How in that being snagged, can we observe just how that little attachment found its way? Now, so this isn't about judging, right? So beating ourselves up for, I can't believe how attached I am, this is not helpful. So as these little awarenesses come up, we can just breathe. And in our body, just feel the release in that moment. Taking another deep breath. And exhale. Keeping our attention on the exhale. With each exhale, allowing ourselves to release just a wee bit more. Following the breath as we move into the silence now. gently back into the room, staying with the breath. Imagine with me as we stay with the breath that there is within the heart center the flame of the divine itself. That eternal flame. The spirit that is always there, always available. Though sometimes clouded by our own distractions. So let's just breathe into this flame our own attention and intention, knowing that with each in-breath we are breathing in the breath of the divine, that there is this exchange, energetic exchange going on, that pulling what we need from the breath and releasing that which no longer serves. So fanning this flame till there's this ball of brilliant light in the heart center. A light that illuminates, a fire that illuminates rather than consumes, expanding with each in-breath, releasing with each exhale, so that with each in-breath we're expanding this ball of light, this globe of light, beyond the body, torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom, that we're now sitting in this globe, this field of light and love. With each inhale, we feel our heart expanding just a wee bit more. With each exhale, a bit more releasing. At this light now extending beyond us, filling the very room in which we reside, filling this sanctuary. We are sitting in a field, a cosmic, energetic field of light and love, extending even beyond the confines of the four walls, connecting with others around the planet, whether here this evening, that there are perhaps hundreds of thousands of people meditating even now. So we allow ourselves to feel the connection at that heart level, at that heart energetic level. So in this place of conscious communion with the One, out of many, one, we allow ourselves now to feel a sense of activation by this energetic of light and love at a very atomic level now. We are energetically activated and aligning with the indwelling spirit, allowing a pattern of perfection to express itself in, through, and as the body temples, that every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every bone, every muscle, every neuron, all the various intelligence systems activated now and aligning with this pattern of perfection of radiant good health. Taking a deep breath. And just releasing into that, knowing it is so. That we are opening our mind now to new and creative and dynamic ideas that have the solution to any seeming challenge that may have presented itself this week, this day, that we are open and receptive to a divine download of living intelligence, where we understand and know that within every challenge the solution is already present. And so we are opening up now to that. That in this openness, we are releasing old thought forms. Any form of thought that is keeping us held bound, we are releasing now. So we feel the full flow of creativity. We feel the full flow of love and friendship. We feel ourselves releasing any ways of tightness, of restriction, of limitation of any kind. We take a breath, releasing that. In this moment, we are lovers of the universe itself. May all beings be happy. May all beings know peace. May all beings be free. So we take a deep conscious breath one more time. Releasing this word, our own cares, concerns, intentions. Releasing all of it to that aspect of the living intelligence that is God itself. That aspect expressing as unconditional love as the law of its own being. That aspect that knows only to say yes. Yes, my beloved. In you I am well pleased. So we just release it all to this thing called law. With a deep sense of gratitude and confidence, knowing it is done and knowing it is so. And in this way we move through the rest of this evening with a sense of peace, serenity, of harmony and oneness as we make our way safely home. We arrive home safely and in good order, making our way through the rest of this evening, making our way to our beds. As our head hits the pillow, we drift off easily and effortlessly to sleep, a sleep that is deep and restful and restorative, that we awaken in the morning feeling rested, full of vim and vigor and excitement for the day. Taking one more deep breath, releasing that. Life is good, and so it is. Amen. So thank you for joining us tonight. If this is your first time joining us, whether it's tonight or sometime down the the Cyber Highway on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, maybe even hit the notification button. You'll get a little note when we're getting ready to fire up on our live stream, which we do 10:30 Sunday mornings, and of course here on Wednesday evening. So I will be heading to Ireland here in July, and we're going to be changing things up once in a while. So we have been speaking with, I think we're going to get the Spiritual Unity Movement in here once a month for their full moon meditation. So I think twice in the rest of the year that may land on a Wednesday night. So we have that to look forward to. And I've been doing this now for several years. So we're going to open it up and see if we can get some of the practitioners and ministers in here to share their own meditation methods. And so you have that to look forward to. Or if you feel strongly about not wanting to experience that, drop me a note. So your input is welcome. And but of course, I'll still be around. So thank you, Reverend Kathy, for kicking us off tonight. Thanks to Renzin in the back. And for those of you joining us at home as well as in the sanctuary, peace and blessings. Go have a great week, and we'll see you soon.